that momentum as we get into picks and bans for this game number 3.
Yeah, and I really wouldn't be surprised to see a lot of focus again on the mid lane when it comes to Corey. For both the comp MYM might build, and obviously ROCCAT in terms of ganking potential early on, a strong mid laner for Nuke so he doesn't fall behind.
Yeah, Corey had some serious troubles in his return. He definitely was 1v2 most of the time against elements. However, still that is no excuse to not play it out safe. ROCCAT banning the Sivir and the Rengar away.
Alright, so ROCCAT doesn't want to get destroyed in the mid game here by MYM. Don't want to risk being snowballed completely, which is why they ban obviously the Rengar from Horo, who has shown okay performances so far. We have obviously seen Reignover being the dominant Korean on that champion, and obviously Sivir just again to lock down this snowballing. And there's the Ahri ban against Corey. A pick he actually first picked yesterday, giving over the Nard to Elements.
I was wondering when we'd start to see the Ahri bans come through. Thresh also banned away, and Azir, which Overpowered did play that one game.
It's also a champion he played at IM Cologne, where the whole plan for ROCCAT was basically you can play it very, very well in the laning phase in top lane one-on-one, but you can also lane swap it, and then it's very hard to shut him down because you can actually outduel your AD carry early, and that's why people are so afraid of Azir, or one of the reasons. The rest is he's just really, really strong overall.
Yeah, with the LeBlanc ban away from Nuke, they left the Gnar open, immediately picked up by ROCCAT, and now MeetYourMakers, yeah, it looks like they're kind of forced to, I mean, you want to take the Jarvan anyways, but you're forced to deny the combo. This leaves Rek'Sai open though. Yeah,
again, Rek'Sai is actually open, and MYM decided to get Jarvan again, the instant engage from him. Remember, Rek'Sai doesn't offer the same kind of engage in terms of team fighting, and getting both Xerath, which has actually been a very contested pick overall in every single region we've seen, together with the Jarvan, has a very, very solid 2 first picks, but there's still, like, again, the Rek'Sai you talked about can be locked by ROCCAT. Later, Nidalee would be open as well for Jankos. He played it yesterday. And obviously Kassadin, which has been a very big pick here in Europe, especially this week.
And definitely taking their time about it, however. But there's so many strong picks you're right available in this rotation. MeetYourMakers, of course, did pick up that early Xerath pick for Corey. A little bit odd. Here we go. Jankos could go the Nidalee route again. He did have a decent scoreline on it yesterday versus Giants. And they're also considering the ante once again for Vanderlife.
All right, so somewhat the same picks. Yesterday we also saw Overpower just instant lock the Gnar.
Same, I mean, exact same pick so far. And they have the option to take the exact same comp.
Yeah, Kassadin would be open for him, for Nuke if he wants to play it into the Xerath in the mid lane. Not exactly a lane where you can bang on getting a lot of kills, but at least you're going to free farm against the Xerath here. You won't really be shut down, so it could be a good lane matchup for him. And obviously, we actually saw him play yesterday, getting 2 early kills on the Kassadin himself. Yeah. And I also like Kassadin, Nidalee together. Nidalee offers enough early dueling power that she can actually kind of back you up in that mid lane, even though the enemy jungler might want to try and shut you down.
Yeah, ROCCAT. This time they won't have the Graves on lockdown because MeetYourMakers denied that one away. They do pick up the Graves Leo bot lane. ROCCAT have plenty of options, however, for Woolite. He has been known to take a little bit more of the hyper carries. Of course, Tristana being disabled for the rework, that's not available right now. What does he fall back to?
Yeah, Graves has been taken away. He said yesterday after the game that he actually preferred to play Graves over any other AD carry. And it's not because of him they're taking these late game AD carries. It's just whatever they feel fits in the current comp. But they actually want to get Graves whenever they can. So MYM did a good choice, or good decision at least, in taking that away. And we will see their Kassadin into Xerath as we talked about earlier.
And a Caitlyn pickup for Woolite. Okay, so this is going to give him really good late game potential and early game lane control, but his mid game is going to struggle a little bit. We'll see if ROCCAT can maybe snowball up to the point where they get a comfortable mid game. And Nuke's also on the Kassadin again.
Yeah, and this Caitlyn pick here, if ROCCAT decides to lane swap, then suddenly you can actually fast push really, really easily with Annie and Caitlyn, double ranged as well. Leona won't be able to do the same as safely down the bottom lane at all, so you can now fast push, get that turret, swap down to the other lane and secure 2 fairly early turrets, or at least 1 in the lane swap, and get the early advantage through the global gold. And at the same time, when you play Caitlyn and you have the likes of a Nidalee, it opens up if you have a 2v2 lane as well, because Caitlyn is so strong early, she will get the pressure in that lane, and suddenly the Nidalee pickup can actually roam around that side of the map because she knows she can get backup from Annie and Caitlyn, who will be pushing again and controlling the lane, and suddenly we can see Jankos try and look for Horo in his own jungle and get these one-on-one kills that Nidalee can do, and we have seen before already.
Yeah, MeetYourMakers comp, I feel like it's interesting. There's a lot of hard engage plus the Xerath, and we've seen this before where you want to sort of have one hanging back and firing away best they can. But typically, this has only worked in situations where there's an incredibly strong front line. And for MeetYourMakers, it's really the Leona and maybe the Jarvan.
Yeah, I actually really like MYM's comp here, especially because the weakness of Nidalee in terms of team fighting is if you can lock her down, because then she won't do any damage. She's building full HP, so she's going to be very squishy. You have the Jarvan engage, you have the Lissandra combined also with Leona. You have so much CC and engage. You can basically jump on ROCCAT every single time you want to. You don't have to wait for them to make the moves, and you can play really aggressive also in the mid game through obviously the Graves, Power Spike, Lissandra once she gets her Morel, Nomicon, and an Hourglass. You can go really, really aggressive, and MYM are looking really to get that early lead, get the mid game under control, and try and finish it out before ROCCAT goes full late game like they want to do, and that's where MYM definitely has the chance to win. I really like the comp actually.
Yeah, we'll see if they can play it out. I mean, they're certainly in a bit of a rut, 1-4 right now, as it gets ready to get going. Now remember to let us know who you think is going to win this game by tweeting us at LOL Esports using the hashtag ROCWin or MYMWin. We're going to add those results up in-game, but it's definitely going to be a toughie in those team fights for ROCCAT. If they can stall it out to the later game, they've got some scaling on their side. I want to see where this Nidalee goes, and the crowd certainly wants to see this game as they get ready and get loaded up onto the Rift. This is game number 3, ROCCAT taking on MeetYourMakers.
Yeah, and we see Jankos again on this Nidalee. He played it yesterday. Bit of a shaky start, actually. And then he went for Soul Steal, a second item, and lost all the stacks on it.
And then gained it right back.
And yet, he ended up on 20 stacks because ROCCAT came back in the game and won every single team fight towards the late game. He's starting with 32 AP for the people who wonder back home. And obviously, you have Q as your rank 1 ability. So he's going to have some fairly easy clear time early on. And of course, a lot of burst damage in this early game. And with Nidalee, you really want to try and look for these one-on-one 2v2 fights and use your high amount of damage.
Ooh, MYM in mass actually going to move over for an early invade here. Overpow just trying to bounce his way out of danger. And actually Corey joining the crew as well. So Spear's going to connect on Horo. Jankos can't really do much more than that for the time being. And there will be a few deep wards placed down by MYM, threatening Nisbeth going really deep here to get that ward out. Overpow can't do much more than shake at him.
So MYM going into the red side, also into ROCCAT's jungle around the blue buff to place the standard deep wards we see when you are looking for information and potentially a lane swap. Typically, Caitlyn into Graves is a tough matchup for Graves early on. Caitlyn will definitely have the advantage and can actually just push down the lane early on. But once you go back the first time as Graves, if you get enough gold to get a BF sword, then you completely take over the lane. Leona can engage every time and you out-trade the Caitlyn. So that's why MYM are looking for that lane swap here. Farm up for the BF sword, then you can swap around for standard lanes.
Yeah, once it gets to that point, it's very dangerous for this ROCCAT lane if it does stay in the lane too. Yeah, I mean, you can get all in. So it's kind of counterintuitive to think that Caitlyn can get all in so quickly just because, oh, you've got an escape, that's fine. Yeah, but there's the cast wind up, there's knowing exactly what's coming for you. So right now, they'll help Overpow take out the Gromp to start this one off. But 3 members out on this bottom side. Also, Jankos starting on the Krugs.
Yeah, we see this very often when we have the lane swaps. Top laner will do a camp, and he will get to level 2, and then he recalls.
Early level 2.
And obviously looks to see if he can go to the top lane, but he has to be careful. If he teleports to top lane now, because MYM has Lissandra and Jarvan on the top side of the map, they can very easily go and dive him. There's no support. Vanda's sitting in the bottom lane. MYM right now should react, go straight to that blue buff, pick it up, build up this wave here and decide, okay, do we want to zone away Overpower, or do we actually want to go for an aggressive dive onto him with the 4 guys we have on the top lane?
Yeah, it's actually a bit of a slow reaction from MYM, but they'll finally... Okay, Horo's going to clear this one out. Now he's moving en route to the enemy blue buff, and this is pretty typical when we see the lane swap situation coming in, that the jungle control just basically turns vertical.
Yeah, and Overpower should have placed his ward already in the tri-bush behind him near his own turret, so he can see if MYM is moving up for that dive and start jumping away. Right now, he's very exposed, and that's going to be an easy kill for MYM if they decide to go for it. MyM is only level 1, but we'll get level 2 from this Gromp once him and Horo actually clear it, and then it's Overpower time.
Yeah, we'll see if Overpower... He didn't die in the game yesterday as Gnar. Here we go.
Notice the ward here as well, placed by MYM. That's simply to spot if Vander had recalled and he's walking from base to the top lane, so they know, okay, there's no help from anyone of ROCCAT here, and that's why Overpower actually a little bit lucky. Just got the ward down.
He jukes.
And jumped away.
However, Mimer and Horo are committing quite a lot of time to this. With the blue buff on Mimer, they're definitely going to have to make use of that. Corey's in a little bit of trouble, though. Jankos and Vander are here. He's running the only way he possibly can. Spear's going to get flashed by Corey. Uses both of his summoners already. Nuke Duck still on the chase. There's first blood, and it goes to Jankos.
And basically, as we said, it's going to be all about Corey in that mid lane. ROCCAT wants to kill him early. It happened right here. Just roaming up. No wards placed on the bottom side of the map from Corey himself, even sitting on his trinket ward. And then he gives up the first blood. Flashes and heals as well, so there's no mobility now for Corey at all.
Rylez should be able to finish this tower off, just trying to deny a little bit of minions, but Overpow's here.
Yeah, so Rylez actually wanted the tower to kill every single minion here, so the waves meeting each other wouldn't start pushing down towards ROCCAT, because that means Overpow can get a bit of extra farm. There's not enough, though, to stop it. Overpow also killed the last one, which means it is actually going to be a fairly standard wave, and MYM is now in the top lane. So notice how both top lanes have been very starved from farm and XP. We had Overpow being forced away from his turret, and MYM obviously being there to deny him that farm. So now they're just going to be dead even in CS. Just a small XP lead for Overpow as he got a little bit of farm before he was denied the rest.
Yeah, Yenko's hanging around this Tri-Brush. They're hoping to maybe bait something out here, but Nisbeth is actually quite far away from this one, and so is Mr. Rylez as he starts to take his place down.
Yeah, but ROCCAT knows that Mr. Rylez is going to go down to this bottom lane because they took the top lane turret. Nisbeth is actually going to face check it.
Yep, and Nisbeth is going to be jumped on by the Jankos. Vander going to flash the wall, get the stun off Woolite there. Do they have the damage? He's going to flash it away, and he's got some help. So in the end, it is a pair of summoners burned for just the one.
Yeah, and MYM managed to save the bot lane turret, so they're actually winning out in this lane swap in terms of global gold, with Rylez and Nisbeth now being in this bottom lane. Still took a lot of damage. No BF sword yet from Rylez because he was pushing the top wave. Didn't actually farm up to that BF sword at 1550 gold, which means Woolite can still do a good job and actually push up this lane, potentially even take down the tower, despite it being 2 versus 2. But he didn't actually shop yet. So he mistimed his back a little bit. Normally you always want to back when you know Rylez, or sorry, the enemy AD carry is coming back to lane. You want to have backed in time so you have items already, and you won't sit on a Dawn's Blade into a pickaxe.
Yeah, it's still going to be a little bit tough to trade this, but he has the level advantage. You can see, though, that that's just been changed, negated, rather. And, of course, even though you've got the CS lead, you can get slowly edged out of this one. Still very dangerous. The all-in potential from this Graves-Leona combination is definitely a deadly one. And here comes Horo as well.
Adding a Jarvan, and it looks even better. There's no flash for Vander. He used it in the mid lane. He can be a very easy target.
Still level 3, too. They're actually going to try to turn on to Woolite. He's going to be the one to flash. They get the anti-stun out. Rylez does take a bit more damage, but Horo is going to go ahead and back away. Overpow and Mimer. Relatively quiet top side after that bullet dodge that Overpow pulled off earlier.
Well, I like what MYM is doing here. They know the Graves can now out-trade Caitlyn because she's still sitting on a BF sword. Oh, sorry, Dawn's Blade. She wants to get the BF sword, obviously, now in the first pack. That's why Woolite is actually staying in the lane and just keep farming up. But Caitlyn as a champion, if she doesn't win her laning phase, she doesn't really do anything in terms of the mid game. She's very weak compared to her Graves, and then she suddenly has to sit back and wait for the late game before she becomes really useful again. And otherwise, she's just going to sit and try and wave clear. So MYM, just by making sure that Woolite and Vander couldn't do anything with the Caitlyn in the laning phase, actually really won out on it.
Yeah, a couple hundred gold ahead, too, for Rylez. So even though he hasn't gone back and bought again, well, he's going to be a little bit wild anyways because he's got that pickaxe. Yeah. The BF sword going to give Woolite a damage edge, but you're right. This is a much more even lane setup thanks to the lane swap that MYM did pull off quite successfully. It's going to be harder for Woolite to really push this on without taking any poke whatsoever. Vander, they're a little bit early defending. Does push Rylez and Nisbeth back.
Yeah, so ROCCAT can use this BF sword advantage and then take Jankos down to the bottom lane. You have the heal giving them more attack speed, and once you're actually pushing away from the Caitlyn, you can take down this tower very easily because it already took a lot of damage from the lane swap itself. And that should be the goal for ROCCAT. Get that turret down, get that global goal for themselves because top lane is not going to go down. That's completely untouched. And obviously the mid lane, you know Zerov is always going to push on the Cassidy, so that turret is at full HP as well, or close to it at least.
Grab another blue buff away. Jankos.
Straight down to the bottom lane.
Down to the bottom. So still pretty early for the Dragon, but the teams are definitely jockeying to try and make sure the vision is cleared in that area. Bottom turret is taken by ROCCAT, so they grab a little bit more gold for themselves. as Horo dodges the spear. Jankos throws down a few of his own traps as well. Gonna walk on a ward here, so this is going to be spotted out by MYM. Of course, they didn't really need to know that one because Horo was already there to tell him.
And MYMers come all the way from the top wave, or top lane, down to contest this red buff here, get a few deep wards and potentially look for a dragon for MYM. But they don't have any key items completed on Mr. Alice yet. No Brutalizer, no BF Sword, so he still needs a bit more time before he really spikes in the mid game on Graves. And obviously Corey actually building Athenes in against Nuke and obviously because Jankos is going to go AP as well.
Yeah, so fan vote definitely coming out very much in favor of ROCCAT right now. 76% of you are saying they're going to win this game. Records would certainly indicate, well, maybe a little bit closer, but of course ROCCAT's had an incredibly tough schedule. They also always play these very defensive early games, and they've got themselves 1,000 gold ahead. Yeah. Just by virtue of the kill and some slightly better rotations, although MYM did play that really well-done lane swap. ROCCAT have a pretty solid late game as well in their middle and the top, at the very least. And Caitlyn, of course.
Corey just mistimed the range on his ulti. Wanted to try and get the blue buff, but he was sitting in the mid lane. Wasn't really in range for it, at least. And then I believe Nuke just interrupted him during his ulti. Because I do believe actually still Castle and Q would be able to interrupt the ulti from Zereth. So. Despite it not obviously adding a silence, it's still an interrupt.
Yeah, that's a channeled ability. So now, Mimer looking to chase down Nuke. Corey and Nisbeth are both here.
And this is a very, very good rotation from MYM because there's not enough wave clear from ROCCAT sitting in this mid lane. They only have the Caitlyn to apply any kind of wave clear. She's going to return down to the bottom lane to defend the turret, so they can easily move in because you have the Zeref as well and just start poking away in this turret, chip it down. Nuke won't be able to do anything to defend it, as we can see right here. And this is a very smart move.
Yeah, MYM are definitely trying to poke away wherever they can to grab a little bit something back. Now, it's 1-1 in towers here, so it's not like the laning phase is quite over, but there are a lot of roams for both teams to try and grab a little bit more back. I feel like MYM's the more proactive team in this regard, but that's no surprise considering how defensive ROCCAT tends to play in the early game.
Yeah, and also MYM sitting on a very strong mid-game comp with Lissandra, Jarvan, and Graves together. There's a lot of burst and a lot of engage you apply through those champions, obviously with the Warrior enchant on a Jarvan. So they have to be active early on. They have to look for these early turrets so they open up the map and can actually start forcing team fights against ROCCAT. And once again, Horo, Nisbet roaming together.
They're going to wait in this brush here, but nobody's really close to checking this one right now. Overpow's played so safely on this Gnar. He's got quite a CS lead built up because Mimer's just been on the roam constantly. But here we go. Overpow's not alone, however.
He's baiting it, but it might backfire for him.
Yeah, could be. He could go Mega in just a moment. They get the Frozen Tomb. He's going to get bursted before he can go Mega Gnar. And even though there was some backup from Vander and Jankos, it got there too late.
Yeah, ROCCAT was expecting a gank in the top lane, but not sure they expected all three guys from MYM, and just Overpower dying instantly. Obviously, no follow-up coming in. Another flash burn, though, by Vander, so he's an easy target now for Horo. He wants another kill.
Nisbeth taking the spear as they clear out the pink ward over by the blue. It's actually been a little bit rough for Jankos in his own jungle. They've kind of traded back and forth. Of course, the lane swap meant that they swapped down to the bottom side to the counter jungle of his own, but there haven't been this massive number of Nidalee ganks that we saw yesterday. And Jankos, he did struggle a bit to get rolling on that. He ended up with a pretty good score at the end of that game yesterday, but still, I feel like a lot of the junglers here are still trying to get a lid on this new Nidalee in the jungle.
Yeah, and how aggressive you have to play. Only Svenskana has really shown her true power in the early game, which we saw yesterday.
And it's risky too, like Amazing was saying on the desk. I mean, if you don't get very aggressive early and it doesn't net you anything, then what do you do for the team later in the game? You split push maybe?
Yeah, well, no, not really, because you're building full AP, so you're going to have to stick to your team. You're too squishy to really start a split push as the Nidalee pick. Her problem is her mid-game is again fairly weak because you have to build up these items, and in order for you to be useful as an AP champion, you're gonna get, you need the Death Cap or the Hourglass, you need a Void Staff later on as well. Like, there's a lot of key, expensive items that is hard to get as a jungler, and that's why your mid-game is fairly weak while you're racking up these kills, getting that extra gold, and then you can start becoming useful later in the game in terms of your poke and your burst damage. But your overall team fighting is not very strong because you're an easy target, you're gonna be very squishy. So it's going to be easy for MYM to lock him down and kill him before Jankos can do anything. And overall, just the fact he had the lane swap in this game has made it very hard for him to play aggressive, because you don't get these one-on-one fights in enemy jungle when there's a lane swap going on. And Vander,
ooh, he's caught actually. Yeah, Corey Rallis is going to be the one who blows him up. Nisbeth taking a lot of the poke as they finish off the dragon. MYM pull out a surprise move against ROCCAT.
Very, very nice start by MYM. Also getting that dragon in. Not sure why ROCCAT were even looking to try and fight for it. You know MYM is going to be stronger right now and can just engage onto you every single time.
And Nuke Duck, though, has found Corey. Yeah, not a lot of mana there, so very dangerous. He's going to pop a potion and walk it out.
This is such an annoying matchup for Xerath, because you don't have the damage to kill that that Kassadin and MYM now. One two in the top lane.
Yeah, Jankos, they're going to look for the jump on. He goes Frozen Tomb. Jankos, they trade the aggro quite effectively. Can Overpower finish him off? Not quite, but he's bounced into range. He's still tanking the tower, and he manages to get Meganar after a few more shots. A bit messy there, but they get the kill.
Yeah, nice little turret aggro control from
He's not out of the woods yet, though. Horo's here.
He's on his own, though. Actually, he ultis him on the turret here.
There we go. Oh, yeah, he's down. Jankos, good luck, buddy.
Don't deal any damage to the Jarvan when you're under the turret still, and he can just ulti you and keep you in there. So 1 for 1 in the end. And actually, turret's still alive. Horo managed to defend it up in his top lane.
Yeah, Overpow's actually died 200% more than he did yesterday.
What a noob.
They definitely will have to play a little bit further back going forward. It's not that they've just been bullying him either. There's just been a lot of opportunity to really make that play. So Horo grabs that kill. He's 2-0 right now on this Jarvan. Jankos, on this Nidalee, we've mentioned it before, how important it is to really get ahead early, and it's not early anymore.
No, and right now ROCCAT should just push the side lanes and then go mid lane and take down this outer turret here. It's already fairly low. Again, it's only Caitlyn who can properly wave clear it. So it's going to be very easy tower for them to take once these side lanes have been pushed out and they don't have to care about the minions going towards their own turrets.
Go ahead, clear out the Scuttle Crab. No Dragon Veil for just a little bit. They'd already gotten that one. But ROCCAT's still holding onto a very slim gold lead here. Not by a lot, but MYM are the ones that have been making the proactive movements around the map. Woolite and Rallis have actually gone back up to the top side, though.
Yeah, Jankos, he's looking for lanes where he can counter gang. Or maybe go in and actually push a turret. That's why he's following Woolite around now. So you give him the attack speed buff, and you have fairly good poke as well between the Caitlyn and the Nidalee, and then you just take down these turrets. You don't look for team fights. You don't want a team fight. You just want to get global gold.
Looks like they're looking to trade some matter ones. Horo, Nisbeth, and Mimer will grab one down to the bottom, but Woolite perfectly able to pick that one up as well. And they trade objectives there. 2-2 is the tower score. So the game's settled into a bit of a wonky objective trade. Ooh, nice blue trinket. Just catch Rylas out there. Woolite getting a lot of use out of that.
And we saw exactly the same move yesterday from ROCCAT, where they sent Jankos and Vander to the top lane, take down the turret, and then walk straight into the enemy red side, or enemy red jungle, and you just basically place a few deep wards around it, so you can now see everything between the two mid and top lane, which opens up for you suddenly going down and maybe dive onto Corey if he's left alone in the mid lane, because you can see what's going on. You kill him easily, take the turret here. But this mid tower is going to go down very, very soon, and MYM should put some focus on it, open up that map, you get all the outer turrets gone, be ready for Dragon when it spawns, because if you control the mid lane, it is so much easier to set up the wards in the Dragon as well, and just have ROCCAT come in and space check you like you saw earlier, and you just engage. Jarvan, Leona, it doesn't even matter, just go straight for ROCCAT when they try and walk in, and you just blow them up before they do anything.
Yeah, they do have a pretty strong all-in, and this is the issue that ROCCAT are going to have to deal with going forward. They've got some crazy scaling champions, but they just can't beat the retreat quite as well as MYM can throw it at them. So it's a very tense situation, but we know how defensive they like to play. They're not going to all-out force a team fight in any situation, especially not with this comp. So I feel like it's going to be on MeetYourMakers to really try to force that one down. As they're looking to finally finish off this mid turret, should be able to get it. No one really there in time to defend.
Easy tower now for MYM. Consistently been chipping away on it from Corey's side. And this Nidalee Kassadin combination in Champs League, I mean, if you look at it, yeah, Nidalee can help Kassadin in the laning phase because she's so strong early game. But when it comes to her overall power, which obviously is being able to invade into the enemy jungle, look for one-on-one fights where you are so strong, early on, Kassadin won't offer you any help because he's going to be pushed back in his laning phase, and that way the combination doesn't really work together at all for them. And it actually happened yesterday as well. Exactly the same thing. Jankos had no impact in the early game because he could never invade into the enemy jungle. He could never look for any fights because Kassadin is just sitting and farming in his lane, at least before he hits level 6 or get a Rod of Ages and becomes a bit stronger.
Well, we saw it before. We'll see it again. Jankos goes the risky route with a book to read as he goes through the jungle. So far, though,
same again.
I mean, it starts out
why he's going for it.
It starts out relatively efficient, but you're right. It is kind of all in, and you know, when it's not one, it's the other. Nukeduck did this quite a lot in his LeBlanc games. I don't know. Last time he got 20 stacks at the end.
The worst thing is, Jankos said yesterday as well after the game, I just built it because it worked for me in a scrim. Well, people don't play as aggressive in the LCS as they do in scrims, where you just have these all-in fights early on, and hey, to win, great, to get 20 stacks early, and they just surrender. That's it. It doesn't happen in the LCS.
They're playing aggressive right now as they try to secure this blue away. It does get smited down, however, by Horo. And that little gambit did not work out quite so well. 8 seconds on this dragon. ROCCAT, 3 members in position. They sent Woolite to the mid to try and shove the wave here as he's being pinged out. And Overpow has the teleport available.
Yeah, this has been a problem before from MYM. They allow the other team to get control of the dragon area when they shouldn't be allowed to do it. And this simply means now MYM has to rush in, try and stop the dragon and look for this fight, but not get the proper engage.
It's going to go over. Oh, they landed a Tibbers on Mimer and Horo. He is extremely low in this one. Here comes Overpow teleporting in. Growlithe moving around the side, trying to find Nukeduck. Nisbeth's been zoned out of this one. They haven't found a kill just yet, but they are in full retreat right now with Overpow pretty close to Meganar in just a moment. They know they can't take this fight. And they've been forced away. Dragon to ROCCAT.
Yeah, again, this is why MYM has lost so many games. They don't play around the dragon well enough or the objective they want to take. They were going to be stronger if they just walked into that dragon after taking the mid turret, warded up your pink wards, green wards, everything. You can see ROCCAT move, you can engage onto them whenever you want to, and they won't be able to react in time. And instead, you leave the dragon area. You allow ROCCAT to walk in, place a few wards, get the dragon free. That should never happen, and that's again why MYM is sitting in the bottom of the standings.
I really can't argue with that one. Sound logic, Officio. They nearly allowed them to grab a turret in the middle as well. So yeah, MYM, it's not just that they're slow to react. They seemed really indecisive when they realized what was happening, but you're also right in that they never should have been in that situation to begin with. They controlled that part of the river, and they just willfully gave it up when they knew ROCCAT had the opportunity to collapse. So, total mistake from them. ROCCAT grabs a bit and back into the lead. And you know, honestly, that fight could have been much, much worse just because of the mid-game power trough that ROCCAT's team comp has. They weren't able to pick any kills.
When you have Graves into Caitlyn, you have to win the mid-game fights because Graves is so much stronger than the Caitlyn. I mean, you even see on the side of Woolite here, he's just trying to earn as much money as possible with the average plate. He wants to get that static shift. He's not meant to fight at the moment. Graves will destroy him anytime. And yet, ROCCAT can get away with that dragon. So for now, they can be happy. You are ahead in gold. You have the Caitlyn scaling up towards the late game. The Kassadin, of course, same deal. And you're going to just dive onto Corey in these late game teamfights because there's no peel from MYM. It's an all-in composition from them. So Corey's going to be left alone in the back line. And that's where Nukeduck is just going to jump him every time late game.
There's no peeling of Kassadin even if they were going to try it. But yeah, it's just a serious danger for them right now. And they don't have the tankiest front line outside of Nisbeth. And actually, we saw a lot of Leonas die yesterday pretty quickly, so even that could be debatable depending on how far we are into the game. Corey going to eat an ace in the hole.
Yeah, and I guess we can say, so because there's so much CC on the side of MYM, they can decide to play a bit more defensive in the fights and peel that way, or have like their way of peeling is them going in and locking down key targets like the Kassadin, so he can jump the Zerf. So I guess in that way, they do have some peel, but if Nukeduck gets the flank onto Corey, he's left alone.
There were a lot of ifs in that, though. That's the problem right now. MYM, they have to be confident enough to pull this one off. Again,
on
Corey's second game back with the team. How much is the synergy jibed? I mean, there's so many questions surrounding this MYM squad. And right now, sitting at a 1-4 record, too, it's kind of hard. There goes the turret as Woolite was able to peck away at it. I mean, so much range on this Caitlyn anyways. That's still relatively safe for ROCCAT to do.
Just another question, though. Why is Corey not just sitting in that mid lane? Clearing the wave every time, and then if he wants to move down to the river, you time it with the wave already being killed, and then you have an opening. Instead, though, free turret for ROCCAT.
Yes, indeed. They grabbed their third, so Outside, all the outer turrets have been broken down. A lot of wards strewn about for both teams in that topside jungle now. Nuke Duck, can he get away? Yeah, he's fine. Oh, a little late on the collateral damage. That's called a parting shot.
Right now, MYM just gonna wait around for the next dragon to spawn, and let's see if they actually learn from the last one. They still have a very, very strong composition in this mid game to push down and actually force a fight if they want to. You have the Xerath to land the poke. You have triple range through Graves, Lissandra. Obviously not the longest range from them, but if you poke them up with the Xerath, you can still take down turrets or even dive if ROCCAT is split up around the map. Now, back to defending.
It's clearing the wave with the Rite of the Arcane, but ROCCAT still are able to poke this, and they have another one right at the back of it. So MYM and Nizbeth trying to force back this team, but looks like they've succeeded in that one. Now Nuke Duck heading up towards the middle. ROCCAT have so far played it very, very safe with their rotations, not giving MYM any sort of in.
No, and they've done a very good job of simply punishing every mistake MYM has made, being it either the wrong position on the map, bad movements from the mid lane. I mean, we saw Corey before just give up the mid lane for absolutely no reason. So ROCCAT has done a good job of basically taking whatever MYM want to give them, and that's why they are hitting gold and slowly scaling up towards the late game. I mean, the Caitlyn is still not very strong. Graves will destroy her, but there's no aggressive plays from MYM at the moment. They're just allowing ROCCAT to move around the map, place a few wards. They're just waiting for this dragon to spawn. Let's see what they can do.
Trying to set up a little bit of brush bait too, but again, yeah, ROCCAT are a little bit too smart to maybe check into these. There's a lot of warding coverage now that MYM has started to move their way into the ROCCAT jungle. And there's just no opportunities for them to really make a play. They want it. You can see that they're smelling it out. They're looking for something that they can do in this mid game where they have their power spikes, but ROCCAT, wisely knowing this, have just evaded them completely.
And that's why the play should have been, you're sitting on 2 dragons to 0 now, you would get a third one, and suddenly ROCCAT would have to fight later on for the 4th and 5th one, and that's how you could force them into fighting. But because, again, ROCCAT got the last one, you don't have to worry about that one at all here. 1 dragon for each, and ROCCAT moving straight in here.
Yeah, the
placing
pressure's
a few
off.
wards. MYM completely leaving the area once again, and ROCCAT plays all the D wards they need, can now see everything.
And now the dragon's up, so ROCCAT in prime position for this one. It's like clockwork for this team. MYM not reacting at all to this. They give this one up, or so it's going to look, nearly sniped away, but it was secured by Jankos, and now they're actually looking for a pick if they can find it. Overpow throws the house at Horo, but they will just back away from this one. Meanwhile, in the middle, Corey is pushing this wave, but they don't get much out of anything. There's no tower there, you're right.
Yeah, no. Again, not a whole lot to say. MYM as a team, it's going to be a lot about individual performance and not strategy, not a team effort at all.
Well, and they haven't really shown much of that.
No,
they're
well,
really
that's
not,
the second problem.
They really don't have much of a team plan or game plan right here against ROCCAT. And when you get to a late game, regardless of the comp, ROCCAT tend to shine in those situations. It's always really close, or it's in ROCCAT's favor in quite a large way. They never lose out overwhelmingly in the late game.
Unless they have Woolad on a hyper carry.
So it's fine this time.
It's fine for MYM, I guess, in that case.
Suppose. Well, yeah. I mean, the Caitlyn's still fairly powerful once you hit those item spikes at the very end of the game.
Oh, she's fantastic late game, of course.
Yeah, and there's, again, it's... There we go. There's a lot of damage on Nizbeth, actually taken really low here. Nuke Duck elected not to go too far forward. Horo is there. Well, now chasing them back. Ooh, the Tibbers lands as he flag drags away, but ROCCAT are in hot pursuit. The flash, the house, Horo sped up by the Scuttle Crab, but Nuke Duck still on the chase. Can he get the damage? Forces another flash. So they've got a pair of summoners out of that one right now. And MYM are the ones running scared. They're actually going to start the Baron up here. This is still risky.
Well, MYM has just been sending in a guy is basically 1 by 1, just walk in, get poked down, next guy goes in, flashes away.
Still really early for this.
Yeah, early Baron though, but a lot of guys from MYM's back base. There's Home Guard from MYM, he can teleport down and actually start a fight. He should do it because a lot of damage has been taken by ROCCAT.
Trying to peel this off. Oh, it's going to get secured. Horo goes in. He goes down. MYM, though, teleport around the back. He finally will evaporate. Didn't even get his frozen tomb off. Instead, they just put him in a tomb.
I just don't know what's going on.
2 kills, a Baron. ROCCAT's looking good. MYM, just, I think the term failure to launch applies here.
I mean, if you want to make that play, do it while the Baron is still alive and they're busy tanking the Baron, taking damage from it, and then you go in with TP from Lissandra. You instantly just, in the opening of the Baron pit, you just ulti yourself. Everything now is slowed. You have AoE damage, you have the Baron as well, and suddenly you can actually win the fight. But MYM decided to wait till Baron was dead. ROCCAT has stepped out of the Baron pit as well. Let's just see it again. So notice here, MYM is going back to base. He's recalling. You can see it on the minimap. Has Home Guard and TP ready. Delaying it. He's not going in yet. We're waiting for Nisbet now. Baron is still alive, taking a lot of damage from ROCCAT's side. Now the TP comes in. Baron dies. ROCCAT gets away from the Baron pit, and suddenly it has no effect. And obviously MYM not even going to ult himself.
Yeah.
Getting stunned and dying.
They high-fived themselves into death there, and that was just total mistiming. They just couldn't execute this, and this has been MYM's problem. You've said it's going to be more of an individual effort. Well, the problem with that approach, even if it was going to work here, is that they don't have the coordination, and you can't get away with not having that in the LCS.
No, again, MYM has really had a hard time. Again, a lot of things happen for the team. We keep talking about how Corey left, came back. We don't know how their synergy is on the team. We don't know if they trust in him just yet, if they need more time. But still, the shot calling for the team or the overall strategy is simply not there. I mean, that's how it is. They do a few things right in the early game, and then it just crumbles completely. ROCCAT has just been able to take again full advantage of it. Baron, 2 dragons, everything. Caitlyn is now going towards a 3rd item. She's basically been able to get through a mid-game, actually winning a mid-game, despite it being so much weaker than a Graves.
Yeah, despite how this game goes either way, I think Yamato Cannon's going to have a lot to say to MYM after this one. They're now pushing up on the top. ROCCAT, full force of them, want to take this inner tower, but MYM is here. They are not trying to force an all-in, and it's going to be hard to fight against this team. Even though, as you mentioned, that mid-game power trough, we're kind of leaving the mid-game here, and I think MYM is leaving this tower. Down it goes. 5-3 is now the scoreline. ROCCAT in the lead at 30 minutes in.
Yeah, now you can really use this Nidalee Caitlyn combination to just take down these towers so easily. The long range, the attack speed, everything. Just
everything's going their way.
Just a little bit too easy for ROCCAT.
Yeah, they're actually perfectly happy and fine to take this a little bit more lackadaisical. They have been punishing MYM's mistakes, not giving up any of their own. And it's interesting that they're able to direct the pace of the game by being relaxed.
By waiting for the other team to make a mistake, say thank you very much. We're just gonna punish you, and that's how we get past the early to mid game. Still, we have seen when ROCCAT play against like Fnatic, when they played against Elements, they did get punished early on. And while they actually managed to stick it to late game and like get to the late game points, it just wasn't enough for them. It was too hard for them to win the late game team fights anyway. Either because a mistake from, I mean, again, keep talking about Rulad when he's playing the hyper carries late game, he's not been able to pull his weight. That has been a problem for them in the past. But for this week here, they won yesterday, looking very good for this game as well. So it should be a 2-0 week for ROCCAT.
And it's worth noting that they had, one of the toughest schedules to start off as well. So that record before this week, that 1-3, could be a bit misleading in the fact that they've been tested so hard. A lot of people gave them a lot of props coming into the split. Of course, they're not without their mistakes.
Yeah, that's the thing. Even though it was a hard schedule, you should have played better. You fell too far behind. You allowed Fnatic and Elements to do whatever they wanted to. And again, we look at ROCCAT, we look at their players, we say this is going to be a top 3 team, or at least a contender for it. So that was not good enough for them, but they're slowly stepping it up. Now, Horo, forced away already.
Yeah, Nisbeth, they're still trying, but there's just no way to commit to this when they're caught in a bad position. Nisbeth out for a stroll and taken down. Woolite gets himself a 3rd. This dragon should be absolutely free. ROCCAT are going to pick up their 3rd. And MYM just still floundering.
Yeah, 3 dragons now for ROCCAT. Still a lot of time to go in this game, because they have to break into the base of MYM. Again, you have the Nidalee Caitlyn combination, so you can actually push these towers fairly easily. Just have to worry about the flank from MYM. Yes, Teleport finally Outlast is actually completed for him as well. He can dive in, Outlast himself first, or ult himself first, whatever it is, stay alive. Buy time for the rest of your team if you get a proper engage. Follow up from Leona, from a Jarvan. You still have so many tools to start the fights.
Well, they've grabbed all the outers, they've grabbed all the inners at this point. MYM again, they're not really able to do much of anything except try to push back a few waves. And there's 4 members of ROCCAT as they do the 4-1. Well, it's actually just tanking parts of the tower here as they go in this one.
There is a ward now from MYM next to ROCCAT, so slightly behind them if they decide to hit the turret. You can see it on the minimap. There's 2 wards from ROCCAT just outside the base.
I feel like they've lost the will to do this, though. It's burned them twice now. They're in...
Well, it's kind of what you have to do.
Yeah, I mean,
so.
you're right. I agree with you, but it just feel like MYM are not keen on trying to be proactive anymore. They've been sort of lackadaisical for the last few minutes, ever since they gave up that Baron. Now, it's a minute until that one does respawn, so MYM are going to try to get some vision out around this pit, but it's so hard to fight against ROCCAT right now. They're on an upswing of power. They're going to get more powerful. It's 3 dragons to 1. Everything seems to be stacked against MYM, but they really dug their own grave with this one.
Yeah, now again, you place a lot of wards, that's fine, so you can see what's going on in the river, but you don't try and punish ROCCAT for walking blindly towards the Baron pit. You could add 5 guys right now sitting in a small bush right here, the ward ROCCAT is clearing, and if Vander walked in alone, you just blow him up instantly. You'll get a free kill for it, and also make sure ROCCAT could just walk in, clear out all these wards, place a ping. So all the wards placed by MYM
and they
now is basically useless, except for the 2 wards just behind around the blue buff of ROCCAT. That is an opening for MYM to TP in if you want to try and get on to Woolite. There's no cleanse, there's no QSS, no Mikhails, so if he gets the ulti on Woolite, followed by Jarvan, ulti coming in from Corey, they can kill him, but they obviously have to deal with the rest of the guys from ROCCAT after.
Yeah, it's a tall order indeed. Now this Baron is going to be started up by ROCCAT after they cleared the wards out. There is a chance for that teleport in the back to start happening, but they'll have to do it quickly. It's already down to about half its health right now. There's the teleport being spent, but they've got to move in and converge on this one. MYM, a bit of a desperation mode. The Baron is down. It's going to actually be stolen away by Rowlers. They've managed to make it happen. Can they now make the fight? ROCCAT, they've lost 2 members. They traded for Nisbeth. That's going to be a double kill going over to Woolite. However, Horo not out of the woods. Nuke Duck on the chase, a triple kill for Woolite. They found everybody but Horo here. They could make them pay very dearly for this Baron steal. And Horo ring around the jungle. Looks like he might just get away, but they'll certainly give up a lot for that.
Yeah, so steal by MYM, and then MYM actually coming in with the teleport. I don't know why he didn't just ulti on Woolite. Mr. Riley was already there. He could have killed him. You have Hourglass as well to defend yourself. So ulti the AD carry, and then Hourglass yourself instead of just straight up ulti. Anyway.
Still misplayed by ROCCAT, though. They allowed the AD carry steal. MYM did get something, but they paid so much for it. This is an inhibitor now. 36 minutes in, ROCCAT have managed to grab all of that. Baron was denied, but it was also denied back again. Let's take a look at how that one happened.
Yeah, so again, let's just see the steal. I believe actually Mr. Riley's got it with his ulti right there. And now, just lock down Woolite. Nisbet connects to him after. Riley, you kill him instantly. You win the fight. Don't ulti yourself when you have the Hourglass. That was a big mistake. MYM actually had a chance here to get back in the game with the Baron with a 1 team fight. Instead, ROCCAT can clear everything or just clean it up. Woolite obviously stayed alive. Nuke Dog chasing Horo. Don't care about him. Go mid lane.
This is what happens when Protect the Woolite does work. So grabs himself a triple on that one. 6-0-0 on Caitlyn's not too bad of a score line. They grab the inhibitor. There's still 3 dragons up. Now they got to deal with this bot lane, but there's nothing really for it but to just clear it away.
Yeah, and it's not even like the team is protecting Woolite. It's just on his own. He's just jumping away because, again, there's no cleanse, so Mikhail's anything. Now QSS has been picked up for him.
Yeah, protect himself works pretty well,
Protect himself, yeah. Worked well enough. And, I mean, he's just been having a free game on Caitlyn.
Yeah, not to mention Nuke Duck hasn't died. He's been roving around. He started to hit a pretty powerful set of items himself. So there's just a multi-pronged threat here from ROCCAT and MYM. They're not prioritizing targets here, right? Mimer has made a number of misplays. Yeah, Rallis was able to steal away that Baron, but did it get them anything? Not really.
No, just won them a little bit of time, making it a bit harder for ROCCAT to actually finish the game.
Oh, Horo's got the buff. He could push, but he's up against super minions in the middle, and they don't have a wave yet either, so it isn't really buying them anything at all. So ROCCAT, again, in position for this Baron, or Dragon, excuse me. Horo backs away from this one. It's still 40 seconds out, so there's plenty of time, but there's really no way MYM can get in here to contest it, not with the way that they're playing.
No, there's going to be an easy Dragon for ROCCAT. Then the fifth one is going to be the one where MYM is forced to fight for it. But it should spawn around the same time as Baron, which means we might have a trade-off. But let's look at that later. It actually spawns for now. ROCCAT taking over the bottom lane. Dragon, you want to, of course, get that inhibitor down here. You have the mid lane open already. and just heal the Caitlyn from the Nidalee, get a few hits on the turret, back away every single time, make sure you're never in a position where MYM can get engaged onto you. At least not more than just one guy, so you can QSS it.
Dragon is now live. ROCCAT in perfect position. Again, like clockwork, they should be able and are able to just take it away for free. That is Dragon number 4. 38 minutes into this game, so they're starting to definitely ramp up. Well, it's been a while since they started. They're really going full. As much as ROCCAT does speed away with this one, they're going to be able to back away now, sending Nuke Duck up to the top side to push the wave again. MYM still struggling to react, but they have cleared the minions away from their own base.
Yeah, Nuke Duck just going up here to start a slow push while waiting for the rest of his team. Bottom lane is already pushing for ROCCAT. Mid lane, of course, you have the super minions, which means if you just start pushing in top lane now, you have 3 lanes pushing into the base of MYM. You can take a turret. It seems like they're happy to staying back, waiting. I mean, they can just go fight as well in mid lane because Inhibitor is going to respawn, or they can just wait for next Dragon. There's a lot of options right now for ROCCAT.
Yeah, they really don't have to do anything too rash here. They're sitting on a 9,500 gold lead over MYM. Clearing some vision out of that jungle. They've got a little bit more time before the Inhibitor will respawn in the middle, and they are threatening in the general direction of the top. Grouping up together now. They're going to be standing on that ward for a second turn up towards this top. Let's see if they can shove this one in.
So far, everyone from MYM is here to defend. You need to blow the QSS first. So like, Leona ulti onto Woolite, then you QSS, and then you can actually engage with MYM. He should go back to base then. If they blow the QSS, then MYM should go back to base, be ready to TP in with the home guard if they actually had a ward on the side, and then lock down Wooler when there's no cleanse left. That's the only way for MYM to win a fight.
But they're losing the attrition. They're not able to do much here, and they're losing a lot of ground. Another Inhibitor goes down. ROCCAT grab 2 now out of the 3. It's 40 minutes into this game. There's a wave pushing against them in the bottom, but they can make quick work of that one whenever they choose. MYM now have 2 fronts to push back the super minions from.
Yeah, and Baron as well spawning. About a minute's time, minute and 30 seconds. So just go back and shop. You got a bit more gold. Ward up the Baron. Secure that one. Make sure Rallis is not able to steal it this time. And then go for the final push onto MYM. Who's just been too far behind.
Yeah, really, there's not much we can say about it here.
I think we talked enough about it, honestly.
No, I think you're right. At this point, there's very little they can do to get back into this one short of just completely reversing the way that they're playing. And even then, it's very far behind against a team that makes few mistakes and gives few openings for you to react to. Over 10,000 gold ahead, and that usually has been the death knell for teams performing much better than MYM here. Ace in the hole coming out. They do get a stun off onto Vander. He'll be pushed off momentarily. Inhibitor in the middle has respawned. Still super minions pushing in the top. Mimer looking for a flank, but he's not had the most success with those today.
No, and they also got the flash from Corey just before by having Vander walk in, threaten him with the tippers. In him though, ROCCAT should be able to take it. Mimer still on the side here. Look at the minimap. He wants to engage from the side. He's going in.
Yep, they got the Solar Flare. Mimer looking for Jankos. Now it is Nisbeth getting blown up. Woolite is getting a big kill. Mimer in some trouble. Horo Jankos going down the shutdown. Maybe MYM can find something here as they've eliminated a couple of key threats. Still have lost 2 members. And Woolite going down. Vander going down. A double kill snipe. There we go. As Corey picks that one up. It is a 3 for 2, and MYM have defended their in-hit.
Yeah, flank came in here. Woolite actually died this time. Mimer used his ulti for the first time in this game onto Woolite. Killed him. Let's just see it again here. So the flank from Mimer coming in. They're just waiting for his engage. Let's see actually when the QSS is used by Woolite. Ulti misses from Nisbet, not onto Woolite. Now stun. QSS that one, and now you have no QSS for the ulti from Mimer. That's why they can take him down. And meanwhile, Rallis is staying alive together with Corey in the backline. You see the long range ulti from the Xerath just to finish it up, and a 1 team fight by MYM. Bait out that QSS. Mimer goes in with his ulti then, lock down Woolite, and you can still win because there's no Mikhails on the side of Vander. I'm not even sure why.
I feel like it was overconfidence on ROCCAT's part in that particular situation. They'd won out in situations before that looked just like that. This time, Corey had the damage snipe. They had the lockdown. Yeah, you're right. There's no Mikhails
So the thing
to really
is,
clear that away.
yeah, Vander wants to go for a locket, but it's going to be a very, very late one against a double AP here. And because you're playing Nidalee, and this is what we talk about, how you tend to have to go full AP early on Nidalee, so you're not building locket, you're not building sidestone, so you're not supporting your team, and that's why they don't have a single one, despite the game being against this double AP composition. Also why Vander couldn't go for Mikhails on the Annie pickup.
Oh!
Whoa, what?
Mimer just chunked. They do take the Baron, but they might pay for this one now. Rales gets evaporated. There's still minions on the base, and MYM just trying to outlast, but Corey and Horo, the only one standing. Not for long, Nuke Duck picks up Corey. It's just Horo standing. There's a teleport going on. ROCCAT Overpow now moving in. Meganar as Horo can't even back to base. The rest of the team chasing him down. One Nexus turret going down. Overpow looking for another. They've still got some minions in here. Finally, they've given up on Horo. He's going to get back, but what can he do other than just spam?
Spam some emotes.
Epic themes, bro. Oh, he's going to jump in Overpow. Nope, don't think so. That's going to be GG. It goes to ROCCAT. Favorites in this one. They play it out by the book, and they come out ahead over MeetYourMakers.
Honestly, just ROCCAT punishing every mistake MYM made. Now 2-0 for the weekend. Very important for them as a team. Obviously, the confidence after losing a few games early on. Now back to 3-3 and just in the middle of the standings.
Still some work for them to do, though. They definitely gave up that one fight there. They weren't quite prepared for. You could see some overconfidence. We've seen a lot of Medjai Soul Stealers built by this team. And considering where they are in the standing,
he actually sold it.
He did sell it. You know, who needs a book after a while? Well, he was sitting on 4 stacks forever, but yeah, they come up with a win nonetheless. But this is against MYM, a team now with only 1 win to their name.
Yeah.
That have been in some serious troubles inside and out of the organization. This, with Corey leaving, coming back, all this, a lot of uncertainty surrounded them. And you're right, it has been individual performance on their part. They haven't lived up to it, but the fact that ROCCAT didn't just absolutely beat them down is a bit troubling for them.
Yeah, a little bit shaky early game from ROCCAT. We were saying how MYM actually had a fairly good start to the game, but then simply failed to capitalize on it later on. And
Motto Cannon.
I feel like, again, we really see the difference between, now I'm not even going to call ROCCAT a top team, I'm going to call them a mid-tier team in this situation because they are in the middle of the standings right now.
That's true.
But there's still a very big difference between like them and we see the clear bottom teams. MYM, obviously, we saw Gambit play. Yes, they won today, but beforehand they've lost a lot of games where it was very one-sided as well. So currently these teams down the bottom here, especially MYM, they have to look at these games and say, where are we making the mistakes? Who do we need to be the shot caller in the game? I mean, how can we fix some of our problems here? Because it's not working for us as a team. We can't rely on individual performance because we don't have any standout players at all. I mean, especially not with the way they're playing right now. We don't have anyone who can say, okay, this guy needs to get fed and he's going to win the game for you. That doesn't work that way for ROCCAT, or MYM, sorry, at all. So they really have to go back and look at these games they are playing and say, where are we making the mistakes? How can we fix them? Because right now, they keep losing and it's not close games. They just actually get destroyed after this mid-game phase. And you don't want to end up as number 10 so you get auto-relegated.
Yeah, they've definitely got some work to do. It was good champion picks. They just didn't execute on what they needed to do. So, you know, we'll maybe hear a little bit more about that game now. Quick Shot is standing by with Nuke Duck. So let's go ahead and check in with him Riffside.
Thank you very much, Pyroficio. I am joined by Nuke Duck after your win. 3-3 now on the split. A long game. You guys were in control after the sort of 20, 25-minute mark. But talk me through what the strategy was. You guys seem to be playing very sort of laid back. Was that the goal?
Well, yeah, they had Lissandra and Serrat, and once we all get some Magic Fist items, we usually win that team fights, and Kassadin with Mercs and Rod of Ages, you're not one-shottable. So yeah, we knew we would win team fights around mid-game.
So you played the Kassadin this week, a marked improvement from the opening 4 games of the split. What changed in your playstyle with the team that has helped ROCCAT pick up the wins this week in contrast to earlier weeks?
Are you talking about how we play as team, or what? Well, we play a bit better strategically now. We didn't really care at all about wave control or shit like this before it started. We were just scrimming and trying to fight and shit. And it was working kind of well, but when we played against the top teams, they just took the upper hand like that. And with the Kassadin, it's just easier to play. Like, it's completely no skill, so you don't only have to press a couple of buttons to win most of the time.
Is that why it's working for you? No skill? No, I'm being rude. Explain to me, why is it ROCCAT's games run so long against the top teams? We've seen you putting on hour-long epics multiple times. What is it about your early game that is forcing you to fall behind and then dig deep late?
I'm not sure. Like this game, we had a little bit better late game comp, so it's a bit justified, but we tend to fall behind early. Most of our games, it's like our biggest weakness is our early game. So we just need to work on that, and then I think we can contend with the best teams.
Yeah, well, I definitely think you guys are working in the right direction. 3-3 now. One last thought before we head over to the analyst desk. 5.2, we've played some games in the week. DFG is gone. What's your opinion as somebody who's famed for playing assassins in the mid lane?
Well, even though I play a lot of assassins, I don't usually use the Deathfire Grasp that much. I was more of the Athene's guy on the LeBlanc, and our DFG was removed was a big deal, but she got like a big compensation. So overall, I like 5.2 more than 5.1.
Oh, well, that's good to know. Thank you very much. Congratulations on the win. We'll see more from you. For now, we're going to send it over to the amazing Shocks at the analyst desk.
Thank you very much, Quick Shot, for that colorful interview, I might say, with Nukeduck after that win for ROCCAT. He was touching on the fact, Nukeduck, well, we do fall behind early, and you were saying, actually, ROCCAT chooses a comp and don't understand initially what they're supposed to do with it and kind of just catch on later.
I mean, they usually start out with the junglers having some kind of early pressure, but like as soon as like this early mid-game hits, they have this somewhat of a right idea, but they don't really follow up on that. We saw that a couple of times when they tried to siege top, for example, and try to get priority to that. Like, just make the game easy for yourself. Like, you have Caitlyn, you just go mid with Annie. Like, have her fair share XP with Caitlyn instead of Cassidy. Like, allow the mid push to actually translate into top side control. Then get a slow push going. Rotate on the slow push. Push the turret. It is that easy, but ROCCAT is making the game hard for themselves, and I don't know why. I always see glimpses of greatness in them, but it's just like they have the ingredients, but like they just need the right cook, basically.
They just need the right cook. Let's take a look at a replay that's also a snippet of brilliance. Let's get that up off the screen. You were especially vocal about Vander's play in this one. It's not the longest clip, but it does show how strong he is.
Yeah,
Let's roll the clip.
You see ROCCAT starting in Drake. They basically have a bad position, honestly. But due to Fender reacting beautifully to, first of all, the Jarvan possible EQ steal, the Lysandra basically EQ engage and EQR engage. Like, he just reacted so beautifully to it and basically allowed this team to get the Drake going. And afterwards, like that play seemed to be some kind of catalyst for the following sieges and actually control of the game.
So Vander is definitely one of the ingredients in that recipe for ROCCAT that's working. You had a lot of praise for him, saying that he is probably one of the most skilled mechanical supports in EU.
Yeah, I definitely think that when I see Fana playing, I see someone that knows the game and knows how to press buttons, basically. That's what mechanics is about. He knows his limits, he knows his team's limits, and that's what a support should be doing. And same for again, like I'm gonna throw it out there, as I said earlier, like Junkos and Fenna are like similar players on different positions. They both have the ingredients, and they just need to actually get the shot calling going, and both of them roaming around the map, getting the control that they need, and they will be a great team, like a top 3 team, possibly.
So they need the right cook, someone called Walter White. On the other side, MYM coming in there. We talked about it beforehand. What can Horo do, or where should he help? You were saying he was on that Jarvan, he built Sightstone. He couldn't really do anything with it because at that point they were too far behind.
Basically, what happened early game is that he got a couple of kills because ROCCAT was overextending, stuff like that, and ROCCAT never established control. He was in the position to do something, but due to how the shot calling is non-existent on MYM, I'm just gonna say that like that. They have no shot calling whatsoever. He will not gain control with that Sightstone. So what MYM is relying upon, in my opinion, is basically like just stacking items and hope for the best. Like, and especially Horo is someone that has been getting early kills 24/7. Like, honestly, he should take away any kind of affiliation with a team right now and basically say, I'm going to build items, I'm going to try to carry solo queue mode. Because quite frankly, MYM has nothing going for them right now.
That is a harsh thing to say, seeing how you said one of the main things that junglers have to get rid of when they come from solo queue to LCS is to become more selfless. In this case, there's nothing else that could help.
Yeah, because quite frankly, it seems to be a solo queue game for them. Like, I don't know what the issues are, but the shot calling that they wanted to actually adapt to and like help coming in, which are the reasons why they made roster changes in the off season, it's not happening. They seem to be getting worse at that than before.
Well, not a kind of a grim outlook for MYM. We need to step away for a moment, but when we return, we'll hear from the coach of the Copenhagen Wolves before they face off against the Unicorns of Love. And as we go, let's see how they LCS in Belgrade, Serbia. This photo comes to us from @ShowMeID. Remember, you can share our photos with @LL Esports and be sure to include the hashtag LCS. Looking cozy over there, guys.
Because I'm happy, sing along if you feel like happiness is the truth.
Because I'm happy.
A lot of damage has been taken by
They're trying to peel
Rocket.
this off. Oh, it's going to get secured. Horo goes
There you
in.
go.
He goes down. MYM, though, teleport around the back. MYM looking for Jankos. Now it is Nisbeth getting blown up. Woolite is getting a big kill. MYM in some trouble. Horo, Jankos going down the shutdown. Maybe MYM can find something here. They do take the Baron, but they might pay for this one now. Rales gets evaporated. There's still minions on the base. That's going to be GG. It goes to ROCCAT. They come out ahead over MeetYourMakers.